Hello, good morning, and welcome to Morning Brew on Politics Social. It is Wednesday, the 9th of October 2024. I'm Graham Hughes. If you would like to join the chat, the people in the chat here, Colin Baker, Filth, Fifth, what? Oh, hang on, that's the wrong animation. Just hit the subscribe button and you can join them. We're having some building work done, so there's some drilling in the background. I apologise, drilling, cutting, all that kind of stuff, hammering. I don't know. Whoa, where is everyone? Says Martin. I only put the stream up a few moments ago. Sorry about that. I'm home alone at the moment and having to spin many plates at once. But I'm here. You know, that's the main thing. Hurrah! Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Graham, says Sarah. Hello there. And we've also got Anatoly. We've got David, Pete's Music, James. We've got Rick Parkin in there. Johan saying good morning. And Badger's here in the nick of time with a nice brew. I hope this day finds you well, and that's all who are in Milton's path will be safe. There are some people who are literally going towards Hurricane Milton, which is bearing down on Florida. It's due to make landfall later today. It will be tonight our time, but in Florida it will be late afternoon, early evening by the looks of things, and it's going to be an absolute whopper. Like, it is going to be huge. It is like a nuclear blast that's about to hit the city of Tampa in Florida. It is, this is off the scale. Like, there's a mathematical limit to how big hurricanes can get in the Gulf of Mexico, and this is hitting the mathematical limit. That's how big it is. It's gone back up to a category 5 overnight. It'll probably go down again as it gets closer to the shoreline, but it doesn't make much difference in terms of the amount of destruction that it's going to be doing, because it's going to be bringing a massive storm surge. Now, just imagine a 10-meter high wall of water coming towards you. The tide comes in, it does not go out. Essentially, this isn't some gentle hiring of the tides over many years. No, this is all at once. And there's a good chance it's just going to flatten most of Tampa. It's a life and death situation. Everyone who can get out has hopefully got out. But there are people going in. FEMA are going in. There's the response teams making sure that the people who remain are safe, built in shelters. There are people who are still boarding up their houses, and I'm just at this point, I'm thinking, God, first of all, is there any point? But secondly, how tragic to get to this point in your life where you've got your own home and you've decorated it, you've made it nice, you've spent loads of money on it, and then everything you have is just taken in this storm, except maybe your car and what you can fit in it quickly out your grab bag. It's really a tragic situation, and what makes it more tragic is this isn't a volcanic eruption that we can't hope to have any say over. It's not an earthquake. This is man-made climate change right there, and yet the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, has actually not just said that he wants people to stop using the term climate change, he's actually signed it into law. He signed it into law that you can't use the term climate change in laws, in politics, in Florida. So when people are talking, when government officials, I assume, in Florida are talking about the fact that this is caused by climate change, are they breaking the law in Florida saying that? I don't know. Florida's a place where they ban books. They ban women from having abortions. It's supposed to be the land of the free. Doesn't seem very free to me, for First Amendment rights to say, yes, this is climate change. But they are so in denial. And what's particularly painful, I was talking about this on Geoscope last night. Back in 2009, most Republicans agreed that climate change was an issue. It was real, and we need to do something about it because we were causing it. Like I say, it's not like an earthquake. It's not like a volcano. We are causing these storms to be more frequent and to be more powerful. And this is going to be the mother of all storms. If things shake out like people think it's going to be worse than Hurricane Katrina in 2004, which absolutely devastated New Orleans. Absolutely devastated that city. And do you remember the Republican response to that? It was absolutely awful. It was dreadful. Just like Trump's response to the disaster in Puerto Rico when they got smacked with the hurricane. when Trump was in charge, and he was throwing paper towels around. Like when Trump was in charge and they had a disaster in California with the wildfires, and he wouldn't give them FEMA support because they didn't vote for him. Just, it's painful. It's painful. Johnny, thank you very much for the super chat. That is really kind of you. First super chat of the morning, first super chat of the day. Cheers, Johnny. Most important question is: will we see Meatball Ron's kinky white wellies again? I don't know. Ron DeSantis, who hates Disney so much he got married there, and they like to say that Florida is where woke goes to die. I think it's going to be where climate change denialism goes to die. I mean, can it survive this storm? Can it? If Tampa can't survive, then can climate change denialism? Can people say, no, this is perfectly normal? This is just this is just Wednesday, innit, really? I mean, you live in the Caribbean, you expect the storms to absolutely flatten cities. 2 of them in 2 weeks, that's what normally happens, yeah. I mean, Tampa is just recovering from the last storm surge from literally just over a week ago, when they got hammered by Hurricane Helene, which has done so much damage up in the mountains of western North Carolina. There are still communities cut off. There's still communities without water, without power, in the richest country in the world, because they're not designed to deal with this kind of weather event. Florida is to some extent, but not something that's a category 5. It's like nothing can stand a chance. American homes are like they're made of straw anyway, says Sean. Yeah, indeed. Happy birthday, Lucas. Happy birthday. Everyone's saying happy birthday to Lucas and David. Oh, happy birthday to David as well. Hello. Scott says, I thought it was predicted to be 15 foot, not 10 meters. Not that it makes things better. Well, I mean, yeah, it's probably about 15 feet, but we won't know really until it comes in, I guess. I don't know, but the thing is, the storm surge is already happening. Like that surge is rippling through through the sea, through the Gulf of Mexico towards Florida, and it's the whole coast of Florida. It's not just concentrated on Tampa. That's where the bad winds are going to be, but the storm surge is going to be miles and miles along the coast. It's going to wipe out so many coastal towns and destroy people's homes and their whole lives, essentially. Where they go to work, where they play, where the kids go to school, where they go to when they're ill, they go to hospital. I mean, there's so many things that this is just going to absolutely wipe out. And I don't know if you remember the show from the early 90s, Press Gang. Some of you might. It was written by Stephen Moffat, who went on to become a showrunner on Doctor Who. He also wrote Coupling. Anyway, on the very last episode, there's this great line or speech or prose or whatever you want to call it by the editor, who's played by Julia Sawalha. And Sawalha. And she talks about a tribe that are warned not to put their heads in the crocodile's mouth. This is like an ancient bit of wisdom that's been passed down for the people who live on the river. Don't put your head in the crocodile's mouth. And every now and again, somebody, no one knows why, they put their head in the crocodile's mouth. And, it's very sad because they die, but also it's very stupid because they were warned. The moral of the story is, don't put your head in the crocodile's mouth, heed the warnings. And we have been warned about sticking our head in the crocodile's mouth since the late 70s. The late 70s. In fact, BP and Shell and Exxon and all those evil fuel companies knew about this shit even earlier than that. But it wasn't until the late 70s, the early 80s, that NASA actually started releasing data saying, shit, there's like way more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere than there's been for like hundreds of thousands of years. Now, there's more CO2 in the atmosphere than there's been for millions of years. And don't forget, human civilization is just a tiny blip on the timescale of this planet. Like, it's only 10,000 years. And all that time, we've had a set amount of carbon in the atmosphere. Now there's literally many, many times magnitude of that we've pumped into the atmosphere, and it's a greenhouse gas. We know it's a greenhouse gas. And the very companies that should have been brought to heel for destroying the environment have just been allowed to basically buy the US government, buy the British government, buy governments around the world, and get them to do daft things like say, oh, no, it's our fault. You need to recycle. Oh, yeah. I mean, I support recycling and I recycle myself, but it's a drop in the ocean compared with all of the oil that we burn every day. Like, we just burn it. We don't make, we're not making roads out of it. We're not making plastics out of it. We're burning it. Like, the majority of it we burn. It's ridiculous. And yeah, this is the world that we're delivering to our children. It's like, here you go, have all this CO2 in the atmosphere. Have this system where the oil companies run everything, and all the politicians have to run in hock with these oil companies who make up stuff like your carbon footprint. That's another thing they made up. It's on you. It's on you. It's your fault this is happening. Look at your carbon footprint. No, you know what? If you fly to work every day, in a private jet, yeah, shut up. Go away. Stop doing that, right? But if you take one family holiday a year, and I'm saying this as someone who literally went to every country in the world without flying, I might have mentioned it. If you take a family holiday each year and, you can't afford the £2,000 it would cost to get there on the train, and you fly because it's 200 quid instead of £2,000, I've got no problem with that. I'd rather there was an alternative, but while there isn't an alternative, while there isn't a viable alternative, I would rather you do that and have a nice holiday with your family and enjoy the time you have on this planet, rather than, I don't know, living in a cave, wearing clothes woven of leaves and staying warm by, I don't know, how do you stay warm in an environmentally friendly way in a cave? Because if you light a fire, you're burning carbon, aren't you? There's an issue for you. But yeah, then you've got the carbon offset scam. There's another scam. Oh, we're going to plant some trees. Or even better, we're going to not knock down these trees. We were going to cut down these trees, but we're not now. It's carbon offset. It's absolute bullshit. Carbon capture. The government's spending 22 million over the next 25 years on carbon capture, which is bullshit. They may as well spend it on a freaking monorail and have a guy sing a song about a freaking monorail before they come out. It's bullshit. Hydrogen. Don't get me started on hydrogen. Seriously, I am sick of hearing about hydrogen. I've heard about it since the 80s. I'm really old. And I am sick of hearing the same old wives' tale about just 10 years in the future, we'll all be driving hydrogen cars and the only emission will be water. So how do you make the hydrogen? Oh, well, you have to use lots of electricity to split this, to get it from water. Okay. So can't we just plug straight into the electricity? Wouldn't that be more efficient? No. You need to separate the hydrogen from the water and then transport it over great distances. Okay. Whatevs. Right. Efficiencies. Right. Okay. How the storm will impact Florida voting. People losing voting papers in flood stroke post interrupted. Voting locations wiped out. Only a month away from voting. That's a very good point, Paul. It is going to really disrupt things. And unfortunately for us, Tampa is a Democrat. I wouldn't say stronghold, but it's majority Democrat. So there's going to be fewer Democrat voters in the state, I guess. And the next point I was going to come on to, but I'll have a look at some of your more messages. How the politicians in America have responded to this. And you can probably guess the way that Trump has responded. Colin, in 2012, after devastation in New Jersey, Governor Chris Christie worked with Obama on rescue efforts. Many of Christie's fellow Republicans blamed him for Mitt Romney losing the presidential election. Yeah. Paul says, how will the storm impact Florida voting? Oh, I've read that one. Jan says, if so many people are displaced, it could be a problem with voting in the area. This affect the election, maybe, says Jan. So I think Jan and Paul both had the same idea at the same time. Number 3, I knew the world was wrong in 2070 when supermarkets, plastic bottles and car journeys replaced electric milk carts. Yep. Jup James, we know about greenhouse gases since the 1850s. Gases with 3 atmos are greenhouse gases. Yes, indeed, Jup. I mean, this isn't new technology. It's like smoking, in fact, very much like smoking. The reason why, was it Queen Elizabeth banned smoking? Because she thought it was unhealthy. Like, there's a line, and I've mentioned this before, there's a line in one of the Sherlock Holmes short stories where Dr. Watson says to Sherlock Holmes, stop smoking, it's bad for your health. And that was in the 1890s that was written. And although people didn't have the scientific evidence to actually tie it to heart disease and lung cancer, they knew that people died in fires. And they didn't necessarily die like getting burned. They died because they inhaled lots of smoke. The idea that smoke might be bad for you isn't anything new. It was just, we had to wait until the scientists proved it. And then the tobacco lobby, the tobacco people, spent decades and billions of dollars persuading people there was nothing to worry about. And that's why smoking rates were sky high in the 1990s. Like, absolutely ridiculous. In my group of friends, there was only about 2 of us who didn't smoke when I was 16. Like, it was just about everyone did. And to actually have the willpower to say, no, I'm not doing that, and someone passing around the joint saying, no, I don't want to. And then they look at you like you're a narc. I love it when they do that. It takes a bit more to say no than just to go, I've just got along with the crowd. And the tobacco companies knew this. The tobacco companies used to advertise everywhere. They used to, they were told they weren't allowed to advertise on the Formula One, so they changed it. So instead of saying Benson and Hedges, it said Buzzing Hornets, but in the same font. So from a distance, it looked. They did stuff like when you went into a supermarket, a corner shop, you'd go and the behind the person serving you, they'd have all these cigarettes in brightly coloured packaging, and it was just like, well, how? And then they decided a few years ago to make all the packaging uniform, but they picked like some colour because it was like the worst colour to do it, and I'm like, no, the colours don't work that way. There's no one bad colour. It's the way it combines with another colour. So what you want is like green with yellow text, and the yellow has to be in Comic Sans. That's it. That's how you make cigarettes look awful. You make them look awful. I mean, it's the same with vapes. You demand that the design makes them look like, I don't know, dildos or something, and then people won't smoke them in public. I guarantee. Some might, but most won't. But yeah, it's all psychology. It's all psychology. If you're going to try and fight against the forces of advertising, telling you that smoking is great and that climate change is a hoax, which Ron DeSantis apparently believes. He doesn't really believe that. He just says it because he knows it'll get him votes. Jupp says, thinks everything that we need. Graham thinks to keep our standard of living. Without H2 industry and or carbon capture, we will not be able to produce green steel or concrete. Hydrogen electrolysis can work when there is excess energy generation for the grid, when it gets a bit windy, and is useful for green steel production. I thought the electric arc furnace that they were opening in Wales, in Port Talbot, I thought that just ran off electricity. Must be wrong. By the way, the post-apocalyptic 1984 film Threads is on BBC 4 tonight. Veg Pie tells us. So if anyone wants to watch that, I think I watched it back in the 80s. So I think it was shown originally in 1984, and then it was repeated in 1985. I think I saw it in 1985 as a kid. I think I was 6 at the time. Yeah, absolutely terrifying. I had a childhood of passive smoking plus job in pubs. Now having all sorts of lung problems with Burgess. Yes, I'm really sorry, but yeah, I grew up working in my dad's garage, so I've probably got 50% lead in my brain. Thanks for that, Dad. And the people who put lead in fuel for many years, and then when they had unleaded fuel, people complained about it. They went, "But I want me lead. I want me lead." They would like that. Committed to the lead thing. Don't forget, at the time, you had lead in paint, in children's cots. It was leaded paint, so the kids could lick the paint. There was lead in all the pipes going into people's houses. So every time you had a glass of water, there'd be lead in there. Not much, but enough. And I think that explains the boomers. Hashtag not all boomers, but enough of them. But yeah, and then I worked in pubs. I worked in pubs for 4 years, best part of 4 years, in Manchester. And I probably inhaled a lot of toxic smoke. Literally toxic smoke, carcinogenic, toxic, radioactive smoke, because that's what it is. They said breathing tarmac fumes was good for a bad chest. Lol, unbelievable. Plum, thanks for that message. When I was growing up, apparently cannabis cleaned out your lungs. That's what cannabis smokers would tell me. That with the straight, like, I'm not even joking. Like, when someone said that to me first, I was like, "You kidding, mate? That's just a little gag." Do you know what I mean? It's like saying, "Oh, onions make your breath smell better." No, you don't. Okay, whatever. You need to wash out your mouth with garlic. That'll be nice for the person sitting next to you in the cinema. But no, they were serious. They were deadly serious. Alistair says, last week National Grid posted UK energy north of Scotland, 100% South Scotland, 80% Wales, 0% England, 50% all from renewable energy. So that's good that we're having that much renewable energy. But also, it's also good that Scotland is powering the whole country and should be remunerated as a result. Roxy says you can rebuild, but you can't rebuild people's memories of where they used to live and grow up. That's true. Christopher says, I think the problem with blue hydrogen is the political insistence it comes from an Australian mining company. I just think the problem with hydrogen is a terrible idea. Did we not learn from the Hindenburg disaster? Like, anything to do with hydrogen has always been a disaster, and it always will be a disaster. And I'm sick and tired of seeing memes on Facebook saying, look at this train in Germany that's powered by hydrogen. A train? Why would you... Why? Surely if it's a train, you can have a rail. And if you can have a rail for the train to run on, you can have a wire, a cable that has power that you can attach to the train in some way. Whether that's by a third rail or an overhead cable. There must be some way of powering that. There must be some way of putting a cable alongside or above the railway line. Like, I just don't understand why you would need a hydrogen train. Anyway, it's been a big disaster. So it's not like a meme where it's like, Germany is light years ahead of everyone else. Look at this hydrogen train. And then you look into it and they haven't worked. And they've had to narrow the size of the train because they can't get hold of hydrogen because it's dead expensive and shit. And hardly anyone makes it, and it's really difficult to transport because you have to take it down to minus 200 degrees C in order to transport it. Great stuff. Unlike electricity, which you can deliver through a cable at the speed of light. Monorail, says Don Key. I don't know if she was singing it, but I was in my head. BUFC, smoking pure cannabis actually removes the tar build-up created by tobacco. All right, mate. Wow. Anyway, Daylight Dave says, oh no, hydrogen may work for ships. May, says number 3. You only need to try 2 different medications. Sorry, I missed the thing from number 3. Evil liars exist and have been around for centuries. Indeed. Especially if they want to sell you something. That's the thing. If these people want to sell you something, just be aware of that. Just be like, this person trying to sell me something. Why are they telling me this? Do you know what I mean? It's not very profitable to tell people the truth. It really isn't. You're better off just lying to them and selling something on the back of that lie. Half the world is fed from fertilizer production from the harbour process, which requires hydrogen, says Siskin Edge. Okay. But I'm not going to put any in my car anytime soon. It's always 10 years away. It's always 10 years away. It's been 10 years away since the 1840s. I used to deliver palm oil to Apathow power station and Didcot power station. Totally horrible stuff. And palm oil is destroying some of the last pristine wilderness of the Bornean rainforests. Where the orangutans live, and the varied species and life that lived in the rainforest in Borneo has been stripped away for this monoculture of palms. It's painful. Space shuttle hydrogen leaks were a problem. SLS, same problem. 40 years, they still can't do it reliably. Yes, I know. Christopher, hydrogen's a ridiculous thing to power things on. I can't stress this enough. If you have a container with hydrogen in, you did the tiniest leak, and you're done for it. Petrol, it's a pain in the arse, but at least, if you can drive around, I know it's not very safe to do so, but you can drive around without the petrol cap on. Just the petrol sloshing around inside. It doesn't make any difference. But, the hydrogen's going to be a sealed unit. It's a gas. And it's a really big, expansive gas. It's not concentrated in the liquid. Well, it is, but it can be. But then you've got to reduce the temperature to minus 200 degrees C. Can you imagine that? Where you're going to go to your hydrogen petrol station. I'm going to get me hydrogen petrol. Okay. So you can have the nozzle and you accidentally get a bit on your hands and it freezes your fingers and you can knock them off. No. Honestly, it's not going to happen. Like, it's just not. I mean, there are some applications in industry, but the idea that we're going to be driving hydrogen cars anytime in my lifetime is absolute bullshit. And I'll just I'm sorry, I will eat my hat. I will genuinely eat my hat if that ever happens. Interesting fact from Johnny Cophead, number 2306. The same guy who created tetraethyl lead to put in petrol went on to create CFCs for refrigeration. Midgets was his name. Was it Midgets? Was it? He also died, this guy, so he's killed more people than anyone else on the planet, pretty much. But also, he died in the most hilarious way. He was like an inventor, and it's just the same guy. He made he had an accident, and he set up this like pulley system, this elaborate pulley system in his bed, so he could make himself a cup of tea and go to the toilet and all kinds of stuff. And he got snared up in his own pulley system. One more for the pile. Is there any stream on Sunday? Graham, can you sing me happy birthday in Marilyn Monroe style? No, David, I'm not going to do that. It's a bit inappropriate. Johnny, auto cabbage is evil. Yes, it is. Yes, it ducking well is. The Toyota Zeppelin has a certain ring to it. It was an idea by the National Grid to swap coal to palm oil to generate electricity in the mid-noughties. Jesus. A terrible, terrible idea, Sarah. Let's not do that again. There is potential for hydrogen tech, but it needs to focus on storage as NH3 and then heterogeneous catalytic decomposition to N2 and H2 when it's needed. Okay. Hydrogen can be stored in other forms. Ammonia, for example. There needs to be ways. There may be ways to make it work even for aircraft. I just can't see it. A misconception about hydrogen fuel. They don't burn it. It's done through a membrane, so it doesn't cause explosions like that. Yeah, I wasn't talking about explosions. I'm just talking about like leaking, just leak. Donkey, the German auto industry uses a firmware trick to switch from the hydronium power to good red diesel. Good diesel. There's no such thing as good diesel. It's all hydrocarbons. It's all contributing to climate change, which is one of the reasons why, the reason why Milton is so insanely big and powerful. In other words, he was a real life Wallace. He was indeed, except he didn't have a grommet to come and save him. Ben Riddings, have you seen the Neanderthal tweet about an alleged victim of assault who is apparently a picture of Canadian UFC fighter Rory McDonald? No. No, I haven't, but that sounds hilarious. And Roxy Rule says, is PMQs on at 12 o'clock, Graham? Yes. PMQs later today. I just realised I've not queued up the papers. I normally do tomorrow's papers, don't I? Should we do the papers? It won't be in the right place on the screen. Ooh, Johnny Copperhead's just dropped £2 super chat. Thank you very much for that. And it's saying Midgley did indeed die in his own contraption. So not only did I get money then, I got told I was right. Two of my favourite things: being given money and being told I was right. Sorry about the noise. Like I say, we're getting some building work done. So yes, there is PMQs today at 12 o'clock. Please join us for that. Let's go over to the papers. I don't know if this will work. This might not work. This might not. It might come up really funny. Oh yeah, there you go. Hang on. Let me just change this so it looks right. And there you go. There, yeah, that looks all right, doesn't it? Yeah, can't complain about that. That's all right. There you go. Look, perfect. Almost. Race against time to nail Maddie said this is to do with the main suspect in the Madeleine McCann murder, who has just been acquitted of a rape. He was cleared of a rape trial, so he might be out on the streets. Our enemy's mission to cause mayhem. This is about Russia basically causing mayhem on the streets of Britain via their little proteges of Boris Johnson and Nigel Farage and all that lot. Not that the Daily Express will tell you that, but that's what they've done. And Brexit, which was their idea. Dozy Bozo's excuse for taking 200k handout to stick gold wallpaper to his rent-free home. Downing Street was like a crack den, and we thought Theresa May was so nice. Downing Street was like a crack den, because Boris Johnson's been to a lot of crack dens. HS2 Light may be built in place of scrapped high-speed line. Yes, good. Do that. Do absolutely do that. Please, just do that thing that you just said, which I've been asking for a long time. We don't need high speed. We just need to have a rail line that is solely for passengers. That's it, right? So if you get some passengers on there, Awesome. Let's just have them. And we don't have any rail. Oh, sorry, intercity passengers, right? Not regional passengers and not freight, okay? Get them onto the other lines and just have a dedicated passenger line that runs 24 hours a day. That's what I want to see. Nice and quiet. Take it slow. I don't care if it goes at 30 miles an hour, but as long as it costs £5 to get me to London. Migration fuels record rise in UK populations. UK population set to hit 70 million in a couple of years' time because of immigration, but we need it. And despite the likes of Nick Ferrari saying, how are our schools going to cope? How are our roads going to cope with these extra people? No. How is our society going to cope if there is no one to look after the aging generation? Because it's 70 million people, right? But when you look at the number of workers, people actually working, it's actually going down because there's so many people who are retired or are too old or too infirm to work and they need looking after. Someone has to look after them. And so, unless we want to just leave our elderly parents or the elderly generation to just wither away and die on their own, which I don't want to see because that's cruel and horrible. And it's not something that people should have to look forward to at the end of their life. I'm quite happy. Bring as many people as you like. I don't care. To start your heart healthy, sit down and enjoy a cuppa. Sorry, to keep your heart healthy, sit down and enjoy a cuppa. That sounds good to me. He says, enjoying a cuppa. Reeves presses ahead with plans to borrow billions for investment. Good. I'm reading a lot of headlines here and going, good, yeah, good. I'm glad that the Daily Mail is finally running the headline, Russia is plotting mayhem in Britain. Finally, MI5, I'm guessing since Labour have got in, Labour have said to them behind the scenes, hey, listen, can you look at all threats to the UK, not just Islamic threats? Because they were told by the Tories to ignore what Russia was doing. They were flat out told by the Tory government to ignore what Russia was doing. And now they're not being told that. Whoa, lo and behold, we're finding Russia is trying to meddle in our politics. The book, The Foundations of Geopolitics, and I can't bang on about this enough, by Alexander Dugin, came out in 1997. And in it, it said one of the missions of New Russia was to break Britain off from the rest of Europe. That's Brexit. And that was proposed in a Russian document put together by Russian agents, the Russian government, the Kremlin, the Duma, I don't think the then president of Russia, Boris Yeltsin, necessarily had anything to do with it. But 3 years later, along comes Putin. And he had a lot to do with it. Alexander Dugin is a very good friend of Vladimir Putin. Do you know who else is a very good friend of Vladimir Putin? It turns out, shock horror, Donald Trump, who actually gave his friend Vladimir the equipment needed to run tests for COVID at a time when thousands of Americans were dying and there weren't enough COVID testing kits in America. And he gave his mate Putin these. That actually happened. Anyway, why Holly's friends are saying Phil's lost the plot. Because he done a runner, didn't he? Cleverly in top spot as Tories drop Tug in Hat. Yep, Tug in Hat out. It comes down to the last two today. That's later today. We'll find out who the last two are. I'm hoping it's going to be Cleverly and Badenoch, and then Cleverly wins. Generic is an absolute lunatic. He's a liability. But Badenoch's a liability. The Cleverly is the least bad of a bad bunch. But I still think he's a dickhead. Right, moving on. Chancellor looks at cut to pension withdrawals, tax-free lump sum, maybe 100,000 after recommendations from think tanks. Rosie Duffield there, the famous transphobe. I was driven out of Labour. I'll say it again. Good. God, there's a lot of good news on the front covers this day. Isn't it? MI5 warns about Iranian plots on British soil, vegetable plots, obviously. And then we've got the Financial Times with Kremlin spies set on sowing mayhem in Britain's streets. MI5 chief warns, and Wagger for thrifty. And there was Rooney versus Vardy court claims revealed, and they're trying to sue each other for the amount that the Wagger for Christie trial of the century caused. Well, I can't be bothered with celebrities. Right, I'll be back at 12. It's different when they're different colour skin, racist paper, says Sean. Indeed. Reeves was the one that ridiculed the Tory Lagoon Power Con. Indeed. That's from Eric. I hate being on my own. My retirement is awful. I can't even afford carpentry services now, and I have a good pension. That's really shit. Number 3, get in touch with Marcus. Let's get Marcus. We'll crowdfund Marcus to come over and do your carpentry, because he's a master carpenter. He's really good. But yeah, Richard, I'm sorry to hear that. That's really shit. But, we're here for you. So, if you want to just jump on and say hello, you're always welcome to do that. We're here pretty much almost every day. We try to be. And Don Kay says, catalysts are one of the coolest things to help non-computational theoretical transition chemists, well, physicists. Grok, actually, why science is not poop. Billions times speed up. I don't really understand that, but I will break it down afterwards like a cryptic crossword puzzle clue. Even right. I'm going to get off now, so I'll see you at 12 o'clock. I hope, for PMQ's watch party. And until then, I'll say thank you very much for the super chats and the chat. Give us a like on the way out. And until next time, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.